Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let us continue with the chapter Control and Coordination. Till now we had studied about different processes or the different systems which are controlling the process of this control and coordination in plants and animals. In the case of animals, we had seen there is a very developed system, that is nervous system and the hormonal system, to perform this particular process. In the case of plants, we had seen that the organisms are showing response to a stimulus in the form of movement, right, in a particular direction or independent of a direction. That means those which are directional, they are known as the tropic movements, and those which can take place in any of the direction, the movement can occur in any direction, that type is known as the nestic movement, isn't it? Now further we observe that these movements, that is the directional, they are generally associated with the growth. So growth is under the control of the hormones, right? Now hormones which are secreted in the plants, they are known as the phytohormones. And this hormonal system or the hormone mediated responses are the sole source of this particular control and coordination. So now in today's session we are going to study about these particular phytohormones. So in plants, the process of control and coordination, it is all maintained by the hormones. Now since these hormones are secreted in the plants, so they are also known as the phytohormones. Now these hormones, they are even called as the growth substances or the growth factors, plant growth factors, as they are actually affecting the growth of the plant directly. So there are different functions of these particular hormones. Now of course the hormones are also of different kinds, right? But the system is not as complicated as in the case of the animals. Besides this particular growth process, the different functions are also controlled by the phytohormones. Like we can say, besides growth, the promotion of dormancy or the breaking of dormancy, each process is controlled by the phytohormones. What do you mean by dormancy? It is a sort of sleeping stage. That means when there is an unfavorable condition, they are going in a dormant state, right? As in the case of, let us say, seeds. Seeds are dormant until unless they are not receiving the favorable conditions for the growth. They are having the stored information for the entire plant, isn't it? But still, until the stimulus is not provided, they are not going to develop the shoot or the root from its specific parts. Now you know why is this so? Because in this case, the water can serve as a let us say the stimulus. Now this stimulus will actually stimulate the secretion of hormones inside the seeds. As the hormones start secreting, the growth will occur. So this is how we can say these hormones, they can help in breaking the dormancy. This is how the dormancy is broken inside the cell, inside the seeds. But alternatively, the reverse phenomena may also occur. That means the promotion of the dormancy. Similarly, the regulation and closing of the stomata is another function of these particular phytohormones. Falling of leaves, fruit growth, ripening of fruits, aging in plants, all these responses are under the control of the phytohormones. And of course, as you can see that these are the different types of responses, and of course related to different parts of the plants. So there are different types of hormones which are secreted in the different parts of the plants. Let us have a summary of each type of plant hormone and how they are, or what type of functions they are performing in the plants. So the very first category of these phytohormones is auxins. Auxins are a group of these hormones which are having a specific function. Now the functions are actually shown here in this flow chart, but before we just explain these, we must know that where these auxins are present inside the plants. So basically these are secreted inside the seed embryo, in the young leaves of the plants, apical buds. Now you can see that these are generally having the meristematic tissue. Right, so these meristems which are located in the young leaves or in the apical buds of the plants, they are usually secreting the auxins. Now what are the functions of the auxins? The very first function is the cell elongation and cell enlargement. So this elongation or enlargement of cell, it means that the increase in the size of a cell. Then the next function is cell division. These auxins can promote the cell division. It is a special characteristic of these particular hormone. Besides this division, they can even help in the differentiation process. Cell division is quite simple. That means the division of cell into multiple copies, right? But what about the differentiation? As these cells starts dividing, let us say if it is dividing in an uncontrolled manner and a group of similar type of cells has been generated, then it would be simply known as a callus. So these callus, they need not to be developed in the plant when it is in an intact condition or in a naturally living plant, right? As these cells divide, they have to further differentiate into a particular type of organ. So this differentiation, that means a conversion of a group of cell into a particular type of organ, is known as differentiation. So initially the cell enlarges, then it starts dividing, and then further when the number of cells have been generated, they starts differentiating into different parts, and this particular these series of functions are under the control of the auxins. Beside that, we can say if it has a capacity for elongation and division and the differentiation, then which part is directly affected? In this case, it can promote the growth of the stem, growth of the fruit in a particular region. This is how these auxins are important, so as to generate, so as to develop the stems or the fruits inside the plants. Then the next important characteristic feature is it can initiate the development of root on the stems. See, the cell division is actually promoted here, but the initiation is not directly controlled by the auxins. Along with its own function, for the initiation it needs certain other hormones known as the cytokinins, and that we will of course study in the further slide. But for now, we must know that division is of course promoted. Maximum diffusion could take place, but initially it has to be stimulated by the other hormone also. So it is a combined function. But in the case of tissue culture, these hormones are having a specific role. Over there, they cannot initiate the process of the shoot development, but roots can be initiated on the stem cuttings. You know what you mean by the tissue culture? It is a technique which is used so as to propagate the small parts of the plants into many number of plants. For this, a small piece of tissue is taken from the intact parent plant, and it is nourished or it is nurtured inside the plant tissue culture lab, and over there it is kept in the, or it is inoculated in a media where the sufficient nutrients are provided, isn't it? So the growth can take place because they are getting the favorable conditions. But when differentiation is concerned, then certain hormones are also supposed to be added in the media. So in this case, when the auxins are added, and if the explant which was taken initially is the stem cutting, then you know what will happen. These stems can show the growth of the root rather than the shoot. So this shows that these auxins are able to initiate the development of root on the stem. But if the shoot is to be initiated, it needs another type of hormone over there. So that is actually the cytokinins. So along with cytokinins, this differentiation can take place accordingly, or the initiation can take place accordingly. Besides this, it can also support the lateral root development in these type of experiments. That means laterally the roots are developed. The root as they develop, it is one of the example of the organogenesis. Now besides this, it can delay the senescence process in the plants. You know what you mean by senescence? Senescence is a process of aging in the plants. That means after a particular time period, when the function is sufficiently over, or the secondary metabolites have been accumulated in a large concentration, then the normal growth activities are inhibited. And as a result, what will happen? The yellowing of leaf, then wilting of these leaves, falling down of these particular leaves, that process is going to start now. So such process in which the leaves are becoming yellow, or they are falling down now with age due to the secondary metabolism. So such a process is known as senescence. But if the auxins are secreted in a right concentration, then this process of senescence can be delayed. It cannot stop it completely, but of course it can be delayed. Why? Because auxin is a hormone which can support the growth of the plant. So if the growth is taking place, aging can be controlled. Besides that, it can also delay the ripening of the fruit. So this ripening, of course, it is delayed due to the action of these particular hormones, that is auxins. Now beside this, they are actually suppressing the development of lateral buds. That means what? It means that they are supporting the growth of a plant at the apexes, or at the terminals of the plant. So you can observe it practically. In a plant, maximum growth is observed at the axis or the apex of that shoot. So this means what? That these auxins, they are actually secreted at these shoot apex or the root apex, and thus they shows the maximum roll over these particular area. Now this is observed as they are accelerating the process over there. It can even suppress the lateral sides also. Now how this lateral growth is then taking place? That is under the control of some other hormones. So auxins, if only auxins are available, then of course you can see the maximum growth at the tip of the plants. This is what the special feature of the auxin. Now this property is also known as the apical dominance. Now you can observe this practically. If we cut this particular apex of the plant or the tip of the plant, then the growth will be inhibited. It will be controlled enormously. So this is what auxin is showing its effect in this particular way. Not only this much, even it can induce parthenocarpy in the fruits. What do you mean by the parthenocarpy? Parthenocarpy means the development of the seedless fruits. So it is affecting these seedless fruits are actually they are produced due to the effect of the auxins. Now let us see the another hormone which is showing this type of the different types of function. So the next major type of phytohormone is cytokinins. Now these cytokinins are basically secreted in the roots. So now you can understand, see, the auxins are secreted in the shoot part, right, and cytokinins are present in the root part. So each auxin and these cytokinins, they are having effect on different regions, right? All throughout the plant the hormones are required. Now you can imagine that how these are actually transported. As the auxins are secreted in the shoot part, it has to be transported to the all other parts of the plants. Similarly, cytokinins, they are secreted in the root region, so it has to be transported to the other parts further, isn't it? So the tissues which are helping in transport of these hormones is actually phloem tissue. The phloem tissue help in the transportation of these phytohormones. Now besides this, one more thing is very clear, that cytokinins, as they are secreted in the roots, so they are actually transported in the upward direction, whereas the auxins, they are actually transported in the downward direction. Now how they are supporting the growth? Because these cytokinins, they can promote, they can initiate the cell division in all parts of the plants. Auxins, they were having the limitation, as they can support the cell division in the different particular parts of the plants, right? So in this case, they are of course affecting the cell division in almost all the parts of the plants. And important thing is that they are not supporting the cell elongation. So they are actually involved in the rapid growth of the particular part wherever they are secreted or where they are transported. Now as they can support the cell division, they are supporting the growth of lateral buds as well as the apical dominance. They can help in fighting against the apical dominance. This does not mean that cytokinin is actually inhibiting this growth in the tip part of the plant. But of course, as the auxins, they were showing the apical dominance, there is no such phenomena in the cytokinin. Now if the auxin is controlling the growth in the tip, then further the lateral buds are the growth of the lateral bud is supported by the cytokinins. Besides this, now as it is having this much important function, so it can be used in the tissue culture process also. In the plant tissue culture, these cytokinins, they support the stimulation of shoot initiation. Now in the case of auxins, what we had observed, they are initiating what? They can initiate the root formation in the lateral buds. Now how the shoot is initiated in the tissue culture? It is because of the effect of the cytokinins. Now you can think that these hormones, they can help in the development of shoot as well as root if it is used in a planned manner in the laboratories. So this is how the tissue culture labs, they can they can support the growth of the entire plant from the very small section of a plant. Beside this, the cytokinins, they are involved in the cell enlargement. Now where this cell enlargement is required or where it is supported by the cytokinins, it is in the leaf regions. In the leaf regions, they are actually helping in the enlargement of the cells, and due to this there is the expansion of the leaf surface area. You can see that the palisade tissue, isn't it? There was spongy tissue, there were elongated cells over there. So how this elongation or the enlargement of cell is supported? It is possible because of the cytokinins. And of course, if the this type of enlargement is taking place, it can support the process of photosynthesis. The next is the enhancement of stomatal opening. We know that in the leaves towards the lower epidermis, there are some pores which we call as the stomata, and these are guarded by the they are guarded by the specific kidney shaped cells known as the guard cells, and these are actually controlling the opening and closing of the pores so that the exchange of material can take place in the leaves, right? Now this process, that is the opening of stomata, is under the control of the cytokinins. We can say these cytokinins, they can enhance this particular process. Earlier we had studied that the process is under the control of the water material inside the these guard cells, isn't it? But it is even the phenomena is enhanced by the hormone cytokinin. So along with that water level, the cytokinin are going to support these stomatal openings. Further, they can promote the growth on the fruit of the plants. They are actually enhancing the rate of the development of the fruits. Besides this, they can delay the aging in the leaves. Now, of course, this aging in leaves means what? The process of senescence, right? Especially in the leaf part. The same process was observed in the as in the functions of the auxins also, but here it is actually controlled, or it is related with the aging in the leaves. The next type of phytohormone is gibberellins. Now these gibberellins, they are actually secreted in the meristems of apical buds and the roots. Of course, it is also present inside the young leaves. They are secreted in the young leaves also. So basically these meristematic tissues, the specialized meristematic tissues, they are involved in the secretion of these gibberellins. And the major function of gibberellins is the elongation in the stem. They can stimulate the elongation of these stems, and this is why we can see the increase in the length of the plant. Besides this, they are involved in inducing parthenocarpy in plants. That means in plants, we can say in the fruits, because they support the development of the seedless fruits. Further, they can even delay the process of senescence in the leaves, and of course especially in the case of the citrus fruits. Senescence, as it is very much clear, we had studied earlier in the session itself. It means the aging process. It means the yellowing of the leaves and falling off of the leaves, but when the secondary growth or the secondary metabolites are accumulating inside. So with age, when they starts inhibiting the growth of the plant, then this senescence occurs. But since gibberellins, they are supporting these elongation type of processes, they are involved in the growth of stem and the fruits, so they are delaying the process of senescence. So of course now it's clear that the next function of gibberellins is the it promotes the growth in the stem region as well as in the fruits. Now because of these particular properties, that is of the stem elongation, even they are used in the process of plant tissue culture. That means in the laboratories, besides auxins and cytokinins, these gibberellins are also having a very important role. See, those auxins and these cytokinins, they are supporting the cell division processes. They are supporting the development of shoot and the root, right, in the laboratories. But you know what? These gibberellins, they are not differentiating these parts, but what they are doing is the elongation. And as these elongation processes takes place, they get thickened over there. Right, and as the thickening occurs, these elongated organs, they become more and more stronger. So gibberellins, in other terms, is helping in providing the mechanical strength to the plant part. So in the case of tissue culture lab, what happens is, once these shoots and roots are initiated, they are actually differentiated over there. Next is the elongation, so that they can be strengthened enough. In the next media, these small plantlets, they have to be transferred, isn't it? And these media in which they are transferred, they are now enriched with the gibberellins. Now you can imagine, if gibberellins are provided, what will be the impact over these young shoots and the roots? These shoots and the roots, they will start elongating. So as they elongate, of course the length is increasing, as well as the wall is they are getting thickened, and this is providing the strength to the this particular plantlet. So now they can be transferred into the pot and kept into the this greenhouse. So this is how the gibberellins are so important. Although they do not participate in the division or initiation or differentiation process, but still they are so important to support the growth of the plant. Beside this, they can end the seed dormancy in the plants that require light for the induction of the germination. See, as we studied in the very first slide of this session, that some hormones are participating in breaking the dormancy or inducing the dormancy. So these gibberellins, they can end up the dormancy in the seed. So if the dormancy in the seed is broken, then what will happen? The shoot and root can develop. these system can be further they can be developed. Now how it is actually possible? It is when it is stimulated by the light. So in this case, the light is serving as a source of stimulus and is helping in the secretion of gibberellins, which can further break the dormancy in the seeds. So these are the functions related to the gibberellins. Next, let us see the another group of hormones. The next hormone is the abscisic acid. This abscisic acid, it is also written as capital ABA. Now this abscisic acid, it is usually considered as an inhibitory hormone because it inhibits various types of processes. What we will further continue. Now before that, we must know that where they are secreted. So usually they are secreted near the leaf region or at the margins of the leaves, in the stem or in the unripe fruits. These are the location where these are usually secreted out. Now if they secretes, you know what effect they can have over the plant growth? They can stimulate the closing of stomata. Now cytokinins, as we had studied, that they are stimulating opening of stomata, isn't it? So here it is the reverse action. So they are antagonistic to the cytokinins. So if it has to close, then of course abscisic acid has to be secreted. So beside this, the another effect is the inhibition of shoot growth. How the shoot growth is taking place? It is under the control of the cytokinins because they can support the lateral growth inside the shoot, isn't it? What about the apical growth? The tips are under the control of the auxins. So overall, the effect of auxins and cytokinins is minimized by the hormone known as the abscisic acid. Not only this much, it can promote the dormancy in the seeds and the buds. And if the plant, it undergoes the dormant state, what will happen? The growth is going to be inhibited. So growth is supported by which hormones? They are, as we have studied in the just before a few minutes, isn't it? It is like auxins or the cytokinins, isn't it? So these hormones are then inhibited by the abscisic acid. Not only this much, it also promotes the falling of leaves. And not only falling, even the senescence in the leaves. That means what? It means that it can, as we can say, the previous hormones, they were delaying the process of aging, but if the abscisic acid is secreted, it is inhibiting the growth of a particular part of the plant. And if the growth is inhibited, the existing cells are functioning in a and they have to work at a faster rate. Now as this occurs, the aging of a part is going to be it is going to arise because secondary metabolites, more and more they will be accumulated, and this can result in the senescence in the leaf part. Now beside this, even it can promote the falling of leaves. The process is known as the abscission. What do you mean by abscission, or what do you mean by the falling of leaves? Isn't it very much similar to senescence? Because in senescence also the leaves are falling, isn't it? So basically the difference is that in the senescence, the mature leaves or the yellowed part are actually falling down. But in the abscission, they are promoting the falling of the even the young leaves. You must have seen in your gardens or in the potted plants also. Sometimes very young shoots, they shows a sudden falling of the green leaves also. So such type of process is known as the abscission. So this is why we are calling this abscission as a inhibitory hormone. The another hormone is the ethene or the ethylene. Now this ethylene or ethene, this hormone is actually it is secreted or it is secreted in the tissues of ripened fruit. The fruits which are under the ripening condition, it is usually found in high concentration over there. Not only there, even it is secreted in the nodes of the stems, or in the senescent leaves and the flowers, or we can say in the mature part of the plants, these type of hormones are usually secreted. And what is the function of these hormone? It can promote the growth and ripening of fruits. The maximum ripening or this growth is taking place because of the ethylene. Not only this much, it even helps in breaking the dormancy in the buds and the seeds. And this is why it can promote the growth in these particular regions. Beside this, it is supporting the leaf and fruit abscission. That means you can see now one thing important. Here it is, we are saying it is promoting the ripening of the fruit, and here we are saying it is promoting the leaf and fruit abscission. So means what it means is that the these ethylene or ethene gas, they are actually bringing the maturity level in the fruits, and because of that even it can fall off. So if the high concentration is found, the fast ripening can take place in the fruits, and these are actually even used for the immature ripening of the immature fruits also, and is used artificially in the agricultural fields or in the storehouses, so that the fruits or these material they can ripen at a faster rate. Beside this, these are actually promoting the yellowing and senescence of the leaves. As we have seen, it is supporting the abscission, or it is bringing the maturity at a young state in the plants. This is something which we can easily state what the function is. Beside this, important function is it stimulates the opening of the flower. So as we had observed in the examples earlier, the opening of the petals or the closing of the petals, it is under the control of the ethene gas. So it is stimulating the opening process. So these are some basic functions of these phytohormones. And this is all about the control and coordination processes in plants as well as in the animals. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. We'll meet you soon in the next session.